What has being a Christ follower gained you? What has being a Christ follower gained you? Well, Steve, it's gained me a whole lot. It's changed my whole life. Ever since I said yes to Jesus, I know exactly where I'm going to go when I die. I don't worry about death anymore. Pretty much, I can sleep at night now, Steve. That's what being a Christ follower has gained me. I know I'm a son, and those are great things. They really are. I mean, those revelations, realizations, are birthed out of a new peace that comes when you accept Christ. But if that's all there is for you, perhaps you need to ask if there is more to being a son. I think that I got most of this revelation today on the levels of maturity for sons and daughters of God. And so I want to talk about those tonight. One of the problems I see with us and our walk is we don't see ourselves as sons. We claim the title as sons, but then when something happens, we start to act like everything but a son. It's like you've heard this analogy 1,000 times, but when you squeeze a tomato, what you get out is tomato juice, right? You've heard that. When you squeeze an apple, you get apple juice. When you squeeze a Christian, you get Christian juice. What is Christian juice? I can't believe I even said that. When you squeeze a Christian, you should get a son. What's in should be revealed. And for Christians, it tends to be the last thing that's revealed. The first thing that we typically show when we get squeezed, the first thing is everything we got rescued from before we accepted Christ. I mean, when things get really bad, when you get the phone call, or if just this spirit comes upon you, and it's a spirit of fear, man, I revert. I start to panic. I start to fight all these things that I thought I wasn't. And it seems like faith is the last thing I have. It seems like faith is what I have when the doctors have done all they can do. Well, then I guess it's just up to God. Since when should it be that way for a son? And that's why I want to talk about these stages. I made a post this last week on I think it was Embrace the Question, talking about Luke 15 and the prodigal son. It's a story that keeps on giving. It is a well for knowledge, that story. It's the third in a trilogy of stories. The first story, I think, is the story of the lost sheep. The shepherd abandons the 99 to get the one. And then the second story is about the woman who is turning her house upside down to find the one lost coin. So these stories have a theme, and the theme isn't so much about what is being lost as it is about the passion of the one that is searching, the shepherd who is willing to abandon the 99 to get the one is a very passionate shepherd. The woman who's literally turning her house upside down to get the one coin, she wants that coin. Well, now the third story is this story of the prodigal son, which we all know that story, and we're very familiar with the prodigal himself, right? And prodigal means wasted or waster. So he asks, this son asks his father for his inheritance. And he wants it so that he can go spend it on himself, which is where we get the term prodigal or waster. And so the prodigal goes and he does just that. He spends it all, and he spends it all on himself. And we're familiar with that. I think we're familiar with that point of view. Maybe not because we've done it, but because we see it. And it's sometimes difficult to identify what that looks like in the kingdom, but I'll tell you what that looks like. Not too long ago, I saw a news article with a woman who she was a survivor. Her house had been spared in the midst of a tornado. A tornado had come through her neighborhood, had wiped out all of her neighbors except for her house. And she was singing hallelujah, man. She came out and she said, "Yes, I declared over my property. I declared over my house. I prayed, and I knew God was going to spare my house." And kingdom speaking, that's a fail. Because if you had the authority to declare protection over your own home and you failed to declare protection over your neighbor's home, then you wasted your authority. That's prodigal. And that's the first son. And you remember how that story ended, or how that son's story ended. He came home hoping for the best. He obviously didn't know the father very well. He said, "If you'll just give me the job of a servant, I will make sure I pay you back." And meanwhile, the father would have none of it. Again, it's a story about the searcher, the passion of the searcher. And the father wanted him back at any cost, just wanted his son back. And then you have the older brother, who, by the way, is also a waster, because he has wasted his life. His definition of good sonship is really super servanthood. And so if you fall into this category where you think the most I do for the kingdom, the better the son I am, then you're just like the older brother, who doesn't have a good definition of sonship or fatherhood, because he believes that you have to work for it, you have to earn it. And he not only he resented the fact that his father treated his younger brother with open arms. He resented the fact that his father even treated him as a son. And that's a sure clue that you're mired into this first level of maturity as a son when you think that you have to work for the favor of the father. That's level one. He was upset that the father even told him, "You've always been able to have a party. You've always had the fatted calf. You've always had the lamb. Have a party. Have your friends over. Enjoy. My house is your house. You own all of this." And that creates resentment to the religious mind. In Galatians 4, Paul talks about the son, when he is young, being no different than a slave. Why? Because he's under the tutelage of the law. Even though he's free, there's a lot he can't do for his own good. The law protects him. It's just like we treat our own young kids. We don't let them do whatever they want to do. It's not good for them. It's not safe for them. So we institute laws over them that exist only while they're young. And does that seem fair to them? No, it doesn't. That's a tough way to go. It's hard, but they all mature through it, right? That's the first level of maturity for a son.